If the Speaker in the General Assembly doesn't want to take up reforms, doesn't want to pass any real structural reforms, then they should go ahead and pass a tax hike. They have a supermajority. They're fully capable of increasing the taxes. And what we've said to the Speaker is, if you don't want to discuss reforms in good faith, go ahead and then get the revenue so we have a balanced budget. Pass a tax hike. Go ahead. You have a supermajority. He can do it. But he's got to choose. He's got a fundamental decision right now of reforms and then work with us on a bipartisan basis for revenue, or go ahead and pass a tax hike. He can't only pass an unbalanced budget and then sit back and do nothing and try to blame somebody else. He's got to make a choice. He's in charge. He controls the General Assembly. He's got to make a choice. He should call real votes on our reforms, on the actual bills that we've introduced. And if he continues to refuse to do that, what he ought to do then is go ahead and call for a tax hike, pass a tax hike. He's got a supermajority. He can do a tax hike. I won't support it without reforms, but he doesn't need me to. He can pass a tax hike if he wants to. The reality, the Speaker doesn't need me to do what he wants. He does have a supermajority, and he could override any veto that I put out. He could go ahead and put in a tax hike over my objections. He hasn't done it because many members in his caucus, they're afraid of him. They don't want to buck him, but they also know our reforms are good, and they don't want to support a tax hike without reform. So he's in a tough. Speaker doesn't want to discuss any real reforms, and he doesn't really want to discuss taxes. He wants me to take actions and lead on a tax hike. He could drive that process. He could go out there and do a tax hike. He doesn't want to. He knows it's not the right thing many members of his caucus do. And the legislature needs to make a choice. They have a fundamental choice to make. Will they work with us and get some reforms so we can grow our economy and bring more responsible government by taking on the special interests in government, getting term limits and redistricting reform so we can have honest elections? Or if they don't want that, they should go ahead and use their supermajority, pass a tax increase to fund the high spending level that they are authorized. The time has come for legislators who support high spending in Illinois to make a decision. Join us in passing structural reforms and a balanced budget, or continue to block structural reforms, including term limits and fare maps. But if you block reforms, then use your supermajority to pass your own tax increase to pay for the spending level that you want. But please choose now. Choose now. Time's up. Let's be reasonable here. The people of Illinois have been waiting long enough.